What's up, everyone out there in YouTube world, Facebook world, social media world, the world, wherever you might be watching these videos from? Welcome to another edition of Musings with MGL. I'd like to thank you for joining as always. And just to get out of the way, if you like what I have to say here, please click the subscribe button down in the corner or click the bell for notifications. And give us a like, give us comments, give us a share. Whatever you can do to help support the channel, we'd really appreciate it. So today's episodes of Musings with MGL is going to be brought to you by the good people up to our north in Canada. So as anyone in the Second Amendment community knows, Canada just recently went batshit crazy because they had a shooting up there. And because, unlike America, they don't have a constitution with a Second Amendment in it that guarantees the right to keep and bear arms of every citizen, they have the right to just basically ban stuff, essentially unilaterally. So good old Justin, Prime Minister up there, decided that he didn't like any of the things that we like down here in America as far as our rifles and our weapons go. So he just banned them. So everybody knows that. They did a ban. He just basically arbitrarily, like I said, banned them. And overnight, essentially, Canada lost all of their rights to have numerous types of weapons, what I would refer to as standard AR-15s, AK-47s, your standard rifles, basically. And so I kind of wanted to use that as a segue to get into something that annoys the crap out of me, and I'm sure probably annoys the crap out of most of you. I see it when I go around to all these debates all the time, and that's kind of this concept of controlling the language. In other words, people on the left side of the aisle, or the people who don't like firearms, anti-gunners, they like to control the language because language is very important to get your message across. So they do something as simple as come up with a made-up term like assault rifle or military grade and push that as an actual real term, something that doesn't exist, something that those of us in the Second Amendment community know that they're made up and they're fake, but they're easy to say, they're scary, they persuade people on their side by using these over-the-top crazy terms. And just to give you an idea of how bad it is, here's an example. So I typed in, you'll see up here in the bar at the top, the search bar, I simply wrote Canada bans AR-15. Okay, right? That was my search. Canada bans AR-15. And what I want you to do is look at the title of the articles that came up when I typed in that phrase. Canada bans military-grade assault weapons. Canada bans assault weapons after mass shooting in Nova. Trudeau announces ban on 1,500 kinds of assault weapons. Canada Prime Minister Justin Trudeau bans assault style. Canada just banned military-style assault weapons. Canada bans assault weapons in the wake of deadly mass shooting. Trudeau announces ban on assault-style weapons. Look at every single one of these headlines. None of them say AR-15. My search was Canada bans AR-15. None of these headlines say Canada bans AR-15. They don't call it by its name or bans AK-47 or common use rifles. No, look at the language. Look at the hysteria. Look at the headlines that they're using in the left-wing media to report on this story. More than 1,500 types of military-style firearms, assault-style guns. Look at every single one of them, okay? Every single one of them. This is the headline that you're getting. Look Washington Post, Chicago Tribune, the BBC, USA Today, Vox. So all these mainstream New York Times. Look, these are the headlines in your mainstream media in America and across the world, because again, that's a BBC article or whatever, on how they report this type of stuff. So they're waging a war with language, okay? And it's very important that we fight that war with language as well. So I make it a habit whenever I get into a debate, whether it's a professional debate, because I get asked to participate in a lot of debates on stage with other people and stuff, and then of course just my daily debates with people that I meet out there in the world and discussing these things. It's very important that you don't let them get away with controlling the language, okay? So don't give in to their terms. I see it so many times when people try and get into these debates with these, and they use they concede the language. And they'll say things like, well, we don't want to ban assault style weapons, or military grade weapon means this and not this. Don't use their language. I always like to use the real language of what they are. So instead of using high capacity magazines, I like to use the phrase standard capacity magazines. Instead of assault weapons, I like to use everyday use rifle or common use rifles or standard rifles. You have to fight language with language. Now, obviously, the newspaper, of course, isn't going to report our language because they're on that side. So they obviously believe in that language and they're going to use that language. I mean, again, look at these friggin' headlines. Every single one of them. Canada bans assault weapons, military style assault weapons. So they're using the language and putting it at their headlines in every single one of their articles. So, I feel bad, obviously, for the people in Canada because they've lost the right to own all these firearms. But that's their choice. They could move to America and become American citizens, or they could push to have a constitutional amendment like we do down here. So it's like anything else. You get the government that you elect, and they've elected this idiot Trudeau, in my opinion, a couple of different times now, and he has no business being the leader of that country, but that's what they've decided, so that's what they got. So look, this is what you get when you do that, and when you don't have protections like we do. So I feel bad for them that they can't have these firearms, but you reap what you sow kind of thing. However, what my concern is, and the point of this particular video here today, is it's part of my continuing series on how to deal with making arguments with anti-gun people on the left, is you can't concede ground on their terms, okay? And it's so easy to do. I've caught myself doing it too when you're in the middle of a debate and you're making a long string of sentences or whatever, and you just accidentally say the word assault weapon or assault rifle. I've done it. I try and train myself not to, but I've done it because it's just so natural, because we don't like the language either, but it's been so permeated in our society by looking again at what you see on TV and in the newspaper articles. It's common language that is used now to describe these things. So we've kind of almost ceded the language, and that's the first step to losing these arguments. So we need to take the language back. So we need to make sure that we are using the proper language. Whenever we post anything on Facebook, you need to use the proper language. Don't give in to their terms. Whenever you share an article on Facebook, make sure that you correct the heading and say the heading should actually read standard capacity magazine, not high capacity magazine. But here's why these people are idiots. So just make sure you do that, because we need to try and take the language. Again, we're not going to take it back in the sense of we're never going to get rid of these words and make them mainstream. But we need to make it clear when we're having debates in public or online or wherever we're having these debates that we don't agree with your language, and we're not ceding that territory to you. We are not agreeing with what you think we should call these things. I don't care what the New York Times or Vox or USA Today want to put on their headlines to try and get clicks, but it's not. We can't cede the language. It's not something that we need to do as Second Amendment people to make sure that we stay vigilant and keep in this fight, because once you cede the language to them, it becomes so easy to just see the next ground and see the next ground and see the next ground, and you can't do that. So this is a bit of a culture war. Obviously, it's a media war that we're going to lose with these type of medias, but when other medias that we can control, whether we have YouTube channels or blogs, or if you go to conservative websites, the Breitbarts and the Daily Wires of the world, and you want to make comments and stuff on things, just make sure you're doing it correctly so that we kind of push back as best as we can, so that we can stop this freaking nonsense where I simply search the term Canada bans AR-15 and I got all this garbage headlines about military-style assault weapons and then yada, yada, yada. So just keep that in mind. That's just the tip for this Musings with MGL. Look, I feel bad for the people up north, but you can always move to America. There's ways to do it. You can get dual citizenship. You can come on down here. We'll be more than happy to have you. But you got to like our values. Don't be one of these Canadians that either come down here on vacation or come down here to live, and you actually agree with Justin Trudeau and those type of people who want to just arbitrarily, unilaterally, capriciously, all the big lawyer words you want to use, ban stuff. Don't come down here if you have that kind of attitude. But if you have a rugged individualist, self-control, constitutional rights, I like to hunt, I like to shoot, if you have the good American values, real American values that you want to bring down here from Canada and be a part of, we're more than happy to help you. Until then, you're going to be out of luck up there trying to find AR-15s, because I can't even find AR-15s on an internet search, because all I find is crappy, quote, assault weapons. So don't be falling for that stuff. So that's it for today. I want to do a quick little video about that. Everybody knows what's going on up north, but I wanted to put a little different spin on it and not just bitch about what's going on up there or call people names or whatever. I maybe did that a little bit, but my point was to just get into a deeper topic of don't concede the language, don't fall for this crap, don't put up with it, fight back with all you can, and keep that in mind. So in the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy, stay open if you can. I'm about ready to ditch that one because everything's kind of starting to open right now. But open up if you can, and then as always, make sure that you carry on. Have a good day, guys.